Yeah, so now practically because we are almost everyone will be getting a lot of post-RK cataracts now coming up, and now with LASIK also, because we routinely see a lot of post-LASIK and even post-ICL, which patients post-ICL or phakic eye also we are getting regularly now for the cataract surgery. So these are the few practical tips which I have observed and then which has practically helped me out in handling such complex cases. So no financial interest and viewer discretion is required because certain videos definitely need to be judged that way. So post-RK cornea, basically there are 3 millimeter central zone of flattening. Conventional topography or chirometric image everyone has more of 4 millimeter paracentral zone. This leads to overestimation of the corneal power and lead to most of the time post-operative hyperopia. The surface irregularities will add to the variable flat and the step meridian in these cases, and lot of this intraoperative manipulation and the post-operative corneal instability lead to lot of surprises coming up in this patient post-surgery. So even if you do a wonderful cataract surgery, you will have a lot of surprises coming up post-surgery. So here it's very important to have very good biometry. So in general, what I target with different biometry is a 0.5 to minus 1.5 of myopia, and that has led to consistency in my result in post-operative cases. So I take visually reading my from the Lenstar and the IOL Master if you have, and then the Pentacam, feed all this data in the online ACS calculator, take final reading based on the result. In case sometime if you get a variation, you may have to average and do first cases, and accordingly need to plan for other eye also. So these are the standard instruments what I am routinely using for all my surgeries over here. The most important in Pentacam, because you see the central 3 millimeter zone, which probably other machines are not having it. We have usually is a 4 mm, but in 3 mm zone, the keratometry that is very critical to feed in the ACRS calculator. So post-LASIK, the process remains the same. There is not much surprise in the post-LASIK cases. What we see, a lot of surprise in the post-phakic IOL. If you are using optical biometry, you may not have much surprises. But if you have the ultrasound biometry, then you need to add correction for the thickness of the phakic IOL what has been used. Either it's ICL or the Indian company, then you need to add the thickness part and then get a through ultrasound machine also. So it's not necessary you need to have only an optical biometry. That is a luxury, and that we need to have everyone now for the perfection. But even on ultrasound also, you can get a definite result. The most important part, all these patients are the counseling. We need to counsel because all these patients had already was not using glasses for so many years. They have a lot of high expectations, and now with lot of their all these patients might go for a very premium lenses and they expect almost near emmetropia. And if you come up with the surprises or you have intraoperative complication, all these patients are going to eat your head throughout your surgery and afterward also. So very important to have always counseling part in these cases, under promise and over deliver in such cases. So what I usually do is my phacoemulsific incision are 2.2 mm. The intraocular pressure we need to keep on slightly lower side. You may have a wound dehiscence during the surgery. So either you need to prime sutures during surgery or the preoperatively. I use routinely 2.2 scleral column tunnel, but you can use a limbal or the scleral tunnel in case if you are doing not comfortable with that. And stain if you are having suspected any leak of the end of surgeries. So these are the various cases from incision from 4 to almost 30 to what we have operated. And then it is very important to have a side port incision. Just be very careful about a side port incision going between the two scar. I routinely use a MVR for my side port. This is a 23 gauge usually, not 20 gauge what I am using it. I use routinely as a needle, but then you can use your technique of choice including a forceps or needle, but then use a very good quality viscoelastic, either 5.8 sodium hyalurate or a viscose chondroitin sulfate, whichever you are comfortable. You always target little on the low pressure side. So your infusion pressure you to be slightly keep it on a lower side in such cases. The The main port incision, again, you have to be very careful. You might get a wound adhesion directly when you are doing an incision, or may get during the phacoemulsification also. So this incision is a very crucial. You can have, if you are not comfortable between the clear corneal, just take a limbal, or you can have a scleral tunnel incision and then do a phaco. And beware, you really get surprises. You might get an intraoperative wound tension and you need to be really ready for the suturing part. But don't get afraid. If you are mentally prepared and if you are aware about all these complications, you will handle all these cases very well. You can see this scar rupture coming up over here, and then we had to do the suturing part. Either you can do it, if you are getting too much of wound leak, you can do it same time, or in other case I had to do it after putting a IOL. But that is, we need to take a good suturing to this scar which has been dehiscence. And sometimes we really do get a very bad cases of almost more than 32 scar, bad brown cataract, already is pre-existing surgery with a trap surgery done, and then SIC is a really severe in such cases where you can do a small incision cataract surgery. Again, in such cases, the biometry becomes very difficult and there are a lot of irregular astigmatism. So in this case, we had planned for a smart toric lenses, customized lens in this patient. So these are smart toric lenses which we had planned for this patient, and then the patient had a really good vision. In both eyes we have done for smart toric lenses with SICs in both patient. So standard post-operative, what we see is hyperopic sleeve or corneal changes and then certain refractive surprises. But then if you have done your biometry well, if you are doing all this pre-operative and intraoperative preparation, then you will really not will have any surprises. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rakesh.
Thank you.
So you, even in these 22 incision RKs,
Yeah.
you put in torics and you put in multifocals and stuff like that?
No, I have not put a multifocal, but monofocal, but then based either monofocal toric or a customized toric lenses for this patient.
Even when you do SICS?
Yes. Yes.
You have some algorithm for that?
I have followed with the ACRS and then Pentacam my Lenstar rating. There is no other separate I have followed, but I always target was slightly on a myopic side.
On the myopic side. And do you, because see, obviously these are highly myopic eyes,
Yes.
right, to start with. So do you consider putting a CTR along with the...
I didn't have to put, if you observed, my rexes are relatively small. It's
Yeah.
not very big rexes I do. So that's the reason in these cases I never had to put. But then this patient, the patient at the SICs which I had shown, his other eye had a little dehiscence which I had to put a CTR, but not as a routine for all the cases.
Yeah. So what you people have to remember is these are basically, although you may get a very low powered lens when you do the biometry, because these are, but they're actually high myopes to start with.
Yes.
They are high myopes and they are type A personality. That's why you had the RK in the first place. Very difficult people to please.
Yes.
So you have to be very careful. So you can, when doing the surgery, as he already told you about the, when you open up the incisions, these incisions open up like a fish mouth, and it's very difficult. So one thing he already mentioned, but when I do with RK, I always do a scleral tunnel incision. So I go far away.
Yes.
So I'm not, entering into that incision, because if you remember, RK incisions are almost 96%
90% depth. Yeah.
90 to 96% depth. If it's a 4 incision RK, no problem. But when it's 22, 18, it's very difficult. And so he already mentioned that you go with low infusion. The main reason you go in with low infusion is just the same principles as myopia. You can get reverse pupillary block in these cases, very common.
And if you're not able to calculate the astigmatism part, you can just put a monofocal lens, and then post-operative you might have to customize scleral contact lenses for such patients. They still do really well. You need not worry about that, or you can have add-on lenses, but then you can still plan it for a customized scleral lenses such patient for a RK. If you have multiple such scar and irregular cornea with bleb and everything, so that also gives a very good result.
Yeah, very well presented.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions from the audience?
Yeah.
Please.
Presentation.
Thank you, sir.
I wanted to ask if the RK or even for post-LASIK patients, RK with not so many scars but with lesser number of cuts, or post-LASIK patients, do you ever consider all these EDOFs or trifocals or any of those?
Yes, because the LASIK patient, I am not using trifocal, but I am using EDOF very regularly. So either VVT or even Reynolds lenses, and then patients are doing very well. LASIK, post-LASIK are relatively easier in terms of surgeries, but then if you have their preoperative data, it's well and good, but otherwise with all these calculators, it is really giving good result. So LASIK, trifocal I am yet to try, but then I am very happy with putting monofocal or EDOF lenses.
So no glare or all
No,
those?
nothing. They are very happy. And we always, for any EDOF lenses, we tell the +1 of retritive hyperopia for reading part, that will have to put, or you on one eye put a plano, and otherwise you can put a little 0.5 myopic. Then still they are doing very well for reading part also. But then otherwise we always counsel them that you will require little glasses at least around +1 diopter for reading very small letter, especially print. Mobile they can always zoom and see, or put a larger font. But print media, luckily most of the patients are on the mobile now. So for them mobile viewing is the most important rather than newspaper or any print media. So they are doing relatively very well with all these cases.
And so one more thing about the ASCRS calculator. Which of the formulas do you really use, the Barrett one or the any other ones? Because it gives a list of formulas like Shamas, Hages.
No, they have
all those things.
post RK, so that is something where it is already customized. So in case if you are using your biometry there, you have to put a different formulas. So we take a reading from there, we calculate there also, and when we put all this, because I'll show you. So you can see a LASIK post prior RK and everything. It's already been there. So it's
Yeah, so the end, once you press the calculate button, you'll get a list of values with using different.
so normally I am using a Barrett in
Barrett
general.
only.
Yes. So Barrett is giving me consistent. Luckily I don't always try it for almost emmetropia. For me always -0.5, -1 to 1.5, which comes to near to almost 0.5 myopic.
Yeah, most people are using the Barrett True K, isn't it?
Yeah. True case.
In Lenstar there is Barrett True K and Samas, you told me.
Samas over here.
So you can check that. You can check the variability in if there is, you can take average and you can take the help of ACRS.
Okay, the next talk will be by Dr. Bhagwat, and he's talking about